Both the vegan diet and carnivore had crazy pros and cons, but honestly, if I had to pick, I think the best diet would be... The first 2 months of 2025, I did 2 things that I never thought that I would do. The vegan diet. I'm gonna go vegan for 2 weeks. And the carnivore diet. I'm going carnivore. Why on earth did I do this? Did anything crazy happen to my body? And also, did I poop at all when I was doing carnivore? These are some questions that you might have, which is why today I'm going to be breaking down why I went carnivore, my experience on the diet, and any changes I saw to my body. Finally, at the end of this video, we'll be comparing my experience on the vegan and carnivore diets to finally answer the question, which one is the best? I didn't do the carnivore diet alone, however. I actually convinced my boyfriend Peyton to do it with me, and he very kindly agreed to sit down with me afterwards and offer his perspective as well. We're gonna break down our experience into different chapters, starting with phase 1, why we went carnivore. I personally have always been super against going carnivore, actually. I just felt like it was super unbalanced. I thought that if you were carnivore, you were dumb. You wouldn't poop, you just would have a ton of nutrient deficiencies. Then I saw something that really changed my mind. I actually saw this video, really interesting video that basically debunked everything I'd ever thought that I've known about carnivore, basically saying that you don't really actually need that much fiber. It actually just causes more stomach issues. Carnivore is actually a lot less inflammatory. I watched the video once, and then Peyton came home from work and we watched it again.
I thought it was pretty good. It was a big reason why I decided to do the diet with you.
I was pretty convinced, but I like to pretend that I am not the dummy who believes everything she sees on the internet. So I decided to put it to the test myself and go carnivore for 2 weeks.
I kind of wanted to use carnivore as sort of a reset for me. I was really sick of carbohydrates after the half marathon. We had carb loaded the day before, and then the morning of, that bowl of oatmeal was like, that was like the last straw for me.
That was it.
Yeah, that was
it. As you probably know by now, I'm a big component of trying things out for yourself. People say this diet helps with acne and inflammation, but there's always new diets and new workouts that people are always raving about. Just because something works for one person doesn't 100% mean it'll also work for you. Now, let's talk goals. What was I trying to accomplish by going carnivore? A lot of people do go carnivore for weight loss, which wasn't my goal, but we will still talk about that later because something did end up happening with my weight that was really weird. But my major goal was the same goal that I had when I went vegan, which was to clear up my acne. And this leads me into phase 2. Our experience on the carnivore diet. In this section, we'll be talking about specifically how we felt during the diet, and in the next section, we'll talk about the insane physical and mental changes that we experienced, so stay tuned for that. To be completely honest, and I know you know this, Peyton, but I don't really like meat that much. I know. I knew that if I wanted to do this diet, I would have to basically bribe myself and buy all of my favorite meats. I was eating bacon every day for breakfast, and then steak, and then ground lamb, and those are my favorite meats ever. That was the only way I could get through it, really.
The fact that you even tried carnivore is one of the most surprising things to me.
I know. I was really scared about getting a nutrient deficiency, so I did get some potassium because I heard that you can get really dehydrated since you don't have carbs. To hydrate, carbohydrate your body. So I was eating a ton of salt, taking potassium supplements. I was set. Honestly, my first few days of carnivore were really good. I was really enjoying it. I felt great. I was just loving it. I would keep telling Peyton every single day. I was like, I just feel great. Nothing's wrong. I don't have cravings. I feel fine. I was honestly so surprised by how well I was feeling in the first few days of the diet. When I was just eating meat, I felt terrific, honestly. But for those of you who have gotten this far into the video and don't know what you can eat on the carnivore diet, it's not just meat. You can also have dairy. And boy oh boy, did I have dairy. I abused the crap out of my ability to eat dairy. And like I said, I felt great, except when I would eat dairy. That was the only time that I felt subpar, let's just say, on the carnivore diet. And it also showed me that dairy is not very good for my body personally. I would drink milk sometimes at night because I would get hungry. I was always hungry on the freaking carnivore diet. There was one night, a couple days into this challenge, when I had, I think, 3 glasses of milk. And let's just say my stomach was really unhappy.
How could I forget?
The rest of the time, not a peep. I literally did not have a single toot exit my body unless I had dairy. This was so disappointing for me, and once I actually cut out dairy, the diet became so much more difficult. Not as difficult as it was for Peyton, however.
I did not have as pleasant of an experience as Julia did with this carnivore diet. I was really expecting to love this diet.
Me too.
I was expecting to even possibly still be doing it to this day. I had been really interested in this diet for a long time. I love eating meat, pause.
Yeah.
But by the 3rd or 4th day of carnivore, I still had not used the bathroom. I know what everybody says, that that's okay because my body's absorbing all the nutrients.
It was me. I was the one saying this.
And just like the carnivore stands online, I feel like intuitively God gave us a digestive system for it to be used, for things to come out of it. Or else we wouldn't have buttholes, you know what I mean? I was having a stomach ache, so I was constipated, bro. I wasn't feeling good. And not only that, for the first time in my life, thanks to the carnivore diet, ribeye would make me freaking nauseous, dude. Ribeye is it's a delicacy to me. I couldn't even imagine a ribeye.
I got to finish all of Peyton's ribeye, which was a win for me. As a result of Peyton having his issues, he did not last as long as he thought. You only did it for how many days? 7 days?
Yeah, I did the whole week.
I did it technically for 14 days. And I say technically because I did have 2 little slip-ups. One of them wasn't even really a slip-up. I had chicken wings from a restaurant. And the second time, we were hosting a Super Bowl party.
Pigs in a blanket.
Pigs in a blanket, buffalo chicken dip, and burgers. That happened on day 12. I kind of lost my mind. I went a little crazy, had a little dranky drank. I had a little pigs in a blanket. I had a lot of pigs in a blanket. So once I had a taste of the regular food, I literally could not go back. And I did not have any cravings until I had the food. Once I had a burger bun, couldn't stop. There were leftover burger buns in our freezer. They were staring me down every time I went in there to get my meat.
I didn't even have to have it. About 4 or 5 days into being carnivore, just the thought of a blueberry was the most divine thing. If I looked at a banana on Google Images,
What would you want to do to that banana, Peyton?
I would want to guzzle it down.
Safe to say that me and Peyton had extremely different experiences on carnivore, which just goes to show you have to try things out for yourself because you never know how things are going to work out. I never in a million years would I have thought that I would have a way better experience on carnivore than Peyton would. Just never. Yeah. Hands down. No one would have thought that.
That was probably the most surprising finding of this entire experiment.
It was just
that you
crazy.
liked it more than me.
Yes. I know that technically I did not do this diet for 14 days straight, but we will talk about my thoughts about doing this diet long term in a little bit. But now it's time for chapter 3, the changes that we experienced.
I grew 7 feet. Not 7 feet tall, I have 7 foots now.
Foots? Anyways, let's start off with the physical changes, which actually shocked me, to be completely honest. Just an FYI, me and Peyton actually did go carnivore one time before this where we also made a video, but we only did it for 48 hours, so we weren't really sure if there were any actual effects or if it was all just in our heads. This time, we took it more seriously, we did it for longer, and we saw some pretty crazy results. My weight at the beginning of this challenge was 134 pounds. And at the end of the 2 weeks, I weighed 130 pounds. The really weird thing was that after 1 week was down 7 pounds, which is a lot of pounds. That is way too many pounds for anyone to lose in 1 week. I was just really scared of losing a lot of weight. And so I'm glad that I didn't. I'm glad I kind of hovered in my neutral zone. What about you though?
I started at 159 pounds. After a week of carnivore, I did lose 6 pounds. I was at 153. I knew I was going to lose a bunch of weight. It came back really quick when I stopped though.
Another thing that happened that was really weird was that I never, ever, ever was bloated. I missed that so much. My acne didn't really change. Big sad.
Womp womp.
Yeah, what's new? I did realize though, because during week 1, I was drinking a lot of dairy and I was eating my cheese sticks, my string cheese. And I did notice that it made my acne so much worse. This diet unfortunately didn't really help with my acne, but it's probably because I cut it a little bit short. But I know it has helped people when they do it for longer periods of time. Now, let's discuss the mental effects.
How is your energy like when eating carnivore?
Honestly, it's really hard to say. We started drinking a cold brew when we first started carnivore, and that made me so unbelievably energized. So while I was having super good energy in the afternoons, I never had that afternoon crash, not once. I can't say it was carnivore because I was drinking that cold brew. I don't know if it was really, oh my gosh, I had some crazy results, or if it was just the lack of having a little bit of brain fog during the day. Don't notice it until it kind of comes back. And I have noticed that a little bit more now that I'm not eating carnivore anymore. Maybe it did have a huge impact on my cognitive ability. I don't know.
For me, it really did not make any sort of effect. Maybe I'm just a wuss, dude, but I just wanted to eat some blueberries.
It was so shocking that I did better at carnivore and enjoyed it way more than Peyton did. But obviously, if this was the perfect diet, then I would still be doing it, and I'm not. Which leads me to chapter 4. Why did we stop doing carnivore? I honestly would have done it for longer if it wasn't for those darn cravings. Even now, there'll be a day where I'm like, you know what? I felt great on carnivore. Let me do it again. And then I want a potato with my breakfast.
The pigs in the blanket had you feeling nicey.
If I could have sustained it for a long time, then it would have done something maybe. But that's the whole problem. It's not very sustainable. I just wanted to do it so bad with the rational part of my brain, but just the everyday functioning part of my brain was like, no, you want fruits. You need fruits. I wish that carnivore was more sustainable because I do think that there are some really positive benefits from it. I couldn't do it personally. Listening to and knowing your body is so important. At this point, I was really over dieting, and instead I just wanted to find my natural rhythm of eating again. But before we compare the carnivore diet to the vegan diet, I do want to acknowledge some of the potential upsides to this diet as well.
What do you think about carnivore purely from a weight loss standpoint?
I think that carnivore clearly did a number on my body, and I think that anyone who does carnivore for weight loss specifically will see results. Again, it is just an issue of can you sustain those results, because as soon as you have one cheat day, you'll probably get super discouraged because that weight will feel like it's coming back on. What do you think about it?
Here's my thing with carnivore. If you are obese and you need to lose weight quick, people don't want results over time. They want them now. Going carnivore will absolutely help you in losing weight quickly, but you need to learn lessons during your time being carnivore, because there probably will be a time in which you are not carnivore anymore. In my opinion, it's not sustainable long term. You will reach a point in your weight loss where you're fine with where you're at and you want to go back to eating relatively normal again. But you need to understand the reasons why carnivore caused you to lose weight. The number one reason is that it limited the amount of food that you can eat, which means that it restricted your calories. So if you can learn that lesson and still apply that when you're done being carnivore, then you will lose the fat quickly and sustain it long term. It's a slippery slope though, because it's a crash diet. A lot of people that go on crash diets also crash hard when they come back from it. There are some people in this world who actually have seen insane health benefits to eating carnivore. But if you are already healthy, if you don't eat garbage processed foods, you eat whole foods, and or you're an athlete, this is an awful idea.
Definitely for athletes. We will talk about that in a second, because as an athlete, I had some really weird experiences on carnivore. Now it's time for chapter 5. I figured that since I did both the carnivore and the vegan diet in such a short time span, I had the unique ability to compare the two on multiple different factors. Peyton did not do the vegan diet with me. He is too manly to do a vegan diet.
I have slight experience with veganism though. One day per month, I would do a vegan day. For some reason in my mind, I was like, oh, it's a reset. I feel like I'm qualified to talk about it a little bit.
There were a couple of main key points that I wanted to bring up about the vegan diet versus the carnivore diet, because there were a few things that were so dramatically different. I went vegan for 2 weeks. I have a whole separate video about it. You can check it out right here. It went pretty poorly and it just did not work out. And one of those reasons was stomach issues. Like I mentioned, on carnivore, my stomach issues were slim to none, especially when I had no dairy. When I was vegan, I had nothing but stomach issues. I woke up bloated. I was gassy throughout the day. I had to use the bathroom 4 times a day. That was the reason why I cut the vegan diet short.
And I remember on my vegan days, it was awful for me. I would eat only nuts and fruits. I was bloated and nasty.
That was one major point to the carnivore diet. I really wanted to like the vegan diet again. It just didn't work. But the foods were so much better being vegan.
Quite aesthetic.
It was very aesthetic, and compare that to meat.
Just a slab of ribeye on a cutting board.
Basically just ate for efficiency and nothing else.
Yeah.
You did not eat for enjoyment.
You were just keeping the lights on.
And yes, I enjoyed some of my foods. There were a couple nights. Oh my gosh, that one night that I had my 3 burgers, 2 eggs, 2 slices of bacon that we recorded, and I'm salivating thinking about it right now. It was so good. For the most part, it was just business as usual. Time to shovel 3 eggs into my mouth.
So how was your energy on veganism versus carnivore?
I touched on this briefly in my video, but when I was vegan, I had a lot of energy when I was working out. And that could be because my macro split was frightening. I was eating 300 grams of carbs. And then after the workouts, I would crash completely. And when I was carnivore, I would feel okay while working out. I would not really get a pump, but I would start shaking really bad during my workouts. I didn't think that my workouts were the best on carnivore. I think they were actually better being vegan. And like I said about the carbs, the macros on veganism were so dookie. I did track my macros for 1 day on carnivore, and this is what they look like. Very different macro split, let's just say.
It's also kind of garbage on carnivore as well. You don't really need that much protein in order for your muscles to grow.
So in conclusion, which diet would I do long term? If I had to pick between doing the vegan diet and the carnivore diet forever, it would have to be the vegan diet.
Really?
My reasoning for that is because at least there's some variety in veganism. And I think that if I really wanted to, I probably could have found something that didn't upset my stomach, which was my major critique. But when it comes to carnivore, even though I love the concept of the diet, I think it's terrific for people who need it, it's just not sustainable. As far as which one I enjoyed the most, carnivore 100%. I just could not do carnivore for more than a month or something.
If you're eating processed garbage and you're trying to break free from that and you just want to cold turkey do something different, then carnivore is great.
Truth of the matter is that going on a super duper restrictive diet for a short amount of time for a specific reason isn't the worst idea ever. If you want to do a crash diet, do a crash diet. If you don't want to do a crash diet and you want to lose weight sustainably, don't do a crash diet and lose weight sustainably. Long story short, if you want to be healthy, there's no shortcuts. You just have to do what you have to do. You can't do a crazy crash diet forever. It's just not sustainable. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button. And I have a ton of really fun new videos coming up soon, so definitely subscribe down below if you don't want to miss out on those. If you want to check out my video where I went vegan for 2 weeks, you can watch it right here. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.